inflation has moderated, but there is no room for complacency. Let me just touch upon our, the inflation path that we went through, the challenges that we went through over the last 1 year. In February last year, the outlook was very benign. We assumed that inflation will come out. Inflation will sort of moderate. But then we had the big surprise from the Ukraine war. Nobody expected the Ukraine war to sort of really happen and to sort of with such intensity. And naturally, it had impact on prices of food grains, on edible oil, on cereals, on across the board. The commodity prices shot up. The crude oil, which is again a primary, India being a huge importer of crude, all prices went up, and naturally India was impacted. Now, when the war came as a surprise, naturally, as a central bank, we cannot say that we will not give any surprises. I mean, we had to also, therefore, do a surprise meeting last year. Many of you, that time it looked, in fact, we faced quite a bit of criticism. But what the market missed out at that stage is that in April itself, we had given some early signals of our impending action. We had changed our priority to inflation over growth. And we had given some indications saying that the Reserve Bank is monitoring the situation closely and will not hesitate to act if the situation so warrants. So we took that surprise, we did that surprise meeting. One point which I want to mention here, nobody likes to give surprises, but when sometimes the situation itself gives you surprises and overtakes you, a situation like when the war happens, which was not expected by anyone, naturally, I mean, things are, different. So therefore, we had to have that surprise meeting of the MPC. I'm not trying to be defensive about it, because subsequent developments have proved that the decision of the Monetary Policy Committee to hold a surprise meeting and to start the cycle of rate increase was the right decision. And I think that has been now accepted and recognized all around. Again, last MPC, we gave you a positive surprise by taking a pause. I think the whole market was expecting that the Reserve Bank perhaps will take the Reserve Bank will perhaps increase by 25 basis points. But we gave a positive surprise because our assessment was that we have done 250 basis points rate increase. Let's now allow that impact to play out. Increase in rates, monetary policy acts with a time lag, and you have to allow that time for the monetary policy to play out and to transmit. We monitor the monetary policy transmission both in the credit side as well as both in the interest rate side so far as credit is concerned, the market interest rates are concerned, the overnight rates of money markets, so far as that is concerned. We also monitor the transmission in the liability side, namely in the deposit side. So therefore, the situation is extremely fluid, the situation is highly dynamic, and I would just like to say that the war on inflation is not over. We have to remain alert. There is no cause for complacency. Especially, we'll have to see how the El Nino factor, what has been anticipated, the El Nino, how it plays out.